Okay, so welcome you guys. I'm used to calling it the Pinterest Mastermind, but I was just telling them off before we hit record that it all goes together. And if you're not looking at, I think especially ending a quarter and going into a quarter, like this is when I look at what's working and what's not working. Um, like you need to be able to look at your data. Like I keep saying that, and in groups and in my own group, like that's probably the biggest question I get. Like somebody will say, "Oh, I'm getting traffic from Flipboard." Well, how do I do Flipboard? How do I do whatever? You know, like we chase traffic instead of looking at our data and saying, "But what's working? What's not working?" And it's not just what's making us money, what's saving us time because that's another part of it. So I just want to start like what's working well right now. Like I want to give y'all an opportunity. Like what's do like in this past quarter, what would you say you've accomplished? What's worked well? Kind of as we're ending this quarter, like what's worked well? And
Well, Pinterest is still kind of up and down, but I'm not worried about that. Facebook is still doing really well. And so I have this moment, though, that not everybody that follows you or likes your page sees everything. And sometimes they don't always see it in the same format. So I've been turning Facebook posts into reels because if you have like a slideshow, you can set that slideshow to music. Um, I've been taking a series of posts on Facebook and turning them into YouTube videos because I've been trying to think of every platform as a new way to reach people. Whereas before it was like, oh, in case my Facebook follower wanted to watch a video, they would go to YouTube. But now I'm thinking at it as how can I get, how can I introduce myself to more people? So somebody on YouTube may not follow me on Facebook. They've probably never seen this information. So it's a mind shift. And I think that those mind shifts have made the biggest change as like the outcomes.
yeah. And it's so easy. Like that's one of the things I teach in a strategy call. I'm like, okay, take this content and we're going to use it on all the platforms, but it's got to look different on every platform. If it looks the same, I see a lot of people that just drag YouTube videos over to Facebook. If you've got the subscribe and the whatever, it will not do well. Like Facebook reads that. Like
And I've seen a couple people get kicked off of monetization,
monetization.
like Facebook bonus program and all that stuff because it is deemed as unoriginal. And
Right.
especially if it has the little TikTok watermark and stuff like that, Facebook can read that.
They can read it, and you do have to be careful with that. And I always say, like, take your raw video and just go upload it. Don't download it from YouTube or TikTok or Instagram stories or what reels or whatever. Just put the original up there. Like, and think about your audience. Does it need to be changed just a little bit? Like who knows? Who knows? But at least change it. Just, at least look at it.
And if you Canva, it's really easy to make something and then go resize the whole design into, a different, instead of horizontal, do it vertical. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have to start over.
Well, you can hit one button in Canva and it resizes like that. Like I always make a copy and resize versus just resizing my original. I try to keep my originals because I may go back in there and use them again at some point. And so I want them to be like what were they originally. So Teresa's in chat. She said my Pinterest traffic is going up. Facebook for me is not, no matter what I do. There isn't comment engagement. So we can take a look at that in just a little bit, Teresa, if you want to put your Facebook page. Um, and then she said it's funny because it showed me on Facebook that you can use TikTok and YouTube videos. So they say that, but I saw the other day where they posted you could put your links to TikTok and YouTube. Like that's something new for Mark Zuckerberg. Um, I personally would not use the same videos. I would not download the videos from YouTube, TikTok, and upload them. I'm not seeing over the past, gosh, I mean, I've done client work in Facebook for 8 years probably. Like I've never seen that when we've done that, it's done well. So now they could change.
Another thing on Facebook is if you use a template for like your post designs, it needs to be ever evolving because if you use the exact same template, even if it's different information, sometimes the bots, seem to think that you're just reposting the same content because the template is too similar. So make sure you're changing colors or fonts or something.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to put a link to your Facebook, we're happy to take a look at it because we both do pretty well on Facebook. Um, I personally am working on sponsored posts. I have my media kit done and I'm working on sponsored posts. I'm waiting to hear back and really learning that because that's something new for me. Like I've never done that. So there was a great video that the lady had templates, so I kind of used that. So, but it's kind of fun to go in and say, okay, who would be great for my community? It's not about like send me something free or pay for a sponsored post. Like it's really about serving that community. So it's been fun to kind of figure that out. It's honestly been a little challenging because it feels scary to email somebody and say, hey, I'd love to collaborate. Jen and I are
I
both,
know it is.
so like, I'm like, we kind of go back and forth. But it's scary.
I
Okay.
will say that I'm surprised at how many, like when I go to different brands' websites, they actually now have a spot where if you are on social media, it's almost like an influencer sign up to where you get them their information. And I'm finding more of those. So, and that's something that I'm almost like stumbling across.
I think that depends on the niche. I've seen it in travel and I've seen it in food. I don't see it any in crafts. Like, I think this is a whole new ball game for them. Like, I just don't think that they're like up there. So I've not seen that in any of the ones I've looked at for sewing or crochet or anything like that. But I have clients that are in travel and I do see it in travel. So kind of fun. Okay, guys, so we're going to do something a little bit different. If you're watching the replay, I want you to go in and take the time to do this because when you can read your data, it just makes all the world. And I did a really fun with a client. I'm going to show you her Mediavine dashboard and we're going to play with some numbers. We're going to do a little bit of math and just show that making some tweaks can be huge. So let me get stuff pulled up here. So if you've got your Google Analytics and can pull that up, I would like for you to do that. Like do it along with me. Because I think so many times we can't read it. And so when you come into your Google Analytics, you'll kind of see, let me get back to the front of this because I was playing in it. And you guys, let me just give a little, Zoom has been nutty the past 2 days. So if it goes off, just give it a second. It may come back on. And if not, go out and come back in. Yesterday it went out on me twice. So, okay. So when you get here, you'll see all of this data, right? Um, I want you to go down here to where you're looking at your traffic source. Okay. I want you to click that. Okay. So when you're looking at this, like it gives you really generic, right? Like what the heck is all this? So we're going to get a little more specific. Go to the blue button and you're going to go to traffic source, session source medium. Okay. And then all of a sudden it's going to pop up where your traffic is coming from. And this is such a great way. So make sure up here too, you maybe sit on 28 days. It typically defaults. If so, click that, go to 30, hit apply, it'll do the thing. So I want you to take a look, and if you can in the comments, I want you to put like where is your top like three or four? Like where are you getting your traffic from? So like on this one, you can see like my top session. So these are sessions is Pinterest. And then we've got direct. Nobody knows what direct is. Every time I ask this question, nobody seems to know. Okay, I've got Facebook. I've got my newsletter. I've got Bing traffic that's up there. This is a Facebook paid traffic ad that brings in a ton, and it's like 2 cents a click because of the way I've set it up. I've got Yahoo, which I have no idea how to improve Yahoo. I've got YouTube. I've got Google is finally sending me some traffic. This has been zero for this HCU update. And then I've got DuckDuckGo, which I don't know how you get more DuckDuckGo traffic either. So, um, but here's what I want us to look at. Okay. So Pinterest, I'm doing 3 pins per day. Okay. It typically doesn't take me very long to create the pins and do them. Facebook is 2 times a day, and I have to stop and set mini chat on every one of those. Newsletter is 3 times a week. Bing traffic, you can absolutely get more Bing traffic by changing your photos, doing a photo credit, kind of some of the setup. I have a training that's only $7 that shows you exactly how to get more Bing traffic. Okay, Facebook ad, I could increase the ad. YouTube, I'm only doing 2 videos a week, and they're like 8 minutes long, typically. So when I'm looking at this, and I want you guys to look at your own, like when you're looking at this, like where is your main traffic coming from? That's my first question on your own.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually surprised at mine because I honestly haven't looked at it in so long, which is probably a bad thing. But I find that if I get too obsessed with it, I start focusing too narrow. So I try not to look at it, all the time. But my number one is Pinterest. Then it goes to direct. And then here's the surprising one. Bing is number three. So it has gone up a ton. And then it's my newsletter. And
Okay.
then followed by so and I know right now I get a lot of Facebook engagement, but I don't always try to focus that into traffic. And that's because I find sometimes if I try to make traffic a thing from Facebook, my engagement drops.
Right.
So right now I am more interested in engagement versus traffic. So that's not as high on my list, and I expected that.
Yeah. And I'm not, and you guys like hear me out. I'm not saying like come in here every day and look at this. I look at it probably every 2 weeks, maybe
Yeah.
sometimes once a month, but especially at the end of the quarter where I need to figure out like, do I want to like I was honestly surprised Facebook was bringing that much traffic because there's been a drop in it. Um, but where can I focus? Could I do another YouTube video and get that up higher? Like, that's the thing that you have to ask yourself is, and then like when I do a strategy call, I'll have you look at your pages to see per page, where's that traffic coming from? Not just like where's your overall traffic coming from. But I want to show you guys something. So I did a strategy call with this person, and I've taken all of her identifying off because she was kind enough to show me her behind the scenes media buying. And I want to show you like all the time people are like, I want to make more money. I want to make more money. But let's take a look here. And I've seen this is indicated in every media buying dashboard that I've looked at. Okay, so Google, her RPM is $17.97. Her Pinterest is $27.11. Y'all, that's nearly $10 more per RPM, which if you don't know what RPM is, it's 1,000 um like they go by page views. This is the other thing I learned about Mediavine. I thought they were paying on sessions. Maybe I'm the only one who thought that. They actually pay by page views. So the more you can keep them on your pages, the higher page views you're going to get. And you can see here, she was only getting 9,100 in traffic, but 52% of her traffic was coming from Google. So you can see here, direct, they pay $13. That's even less than Google. Other, we're not even sure where that was coming from. But if you look at Bing, that's $23.39. It's right below Pinterest. I had another client that she shared her Mediavine, and it went Pinterest, YouTube, email, social media, which was Facebook, Instagram. They clumped those together. Bing was up there. I forgot to mention Bing. It was up there about the same as the email and all of that. And you can see here, she wasn't working on her email before the strategy session, and now, and so I asked her. I went and asked. I was like, how's it going? And she goes, I nearly doubled my income. And I was like, you go, girl. But let's look at this. If Pinterest was her highest income in this same time period, like same session, same page views, it would have been $163 as her top versus 108. Like that's nearly
Oh,
$60 for the month. And then like if
that's
she
an
could,
easy up of 50% of revenue right there.
yes. Yeah. And then she started working on her mailer light. She started working on her emails. That started to increase. Her sessions went up because she's working on her Pinterest and it automatically goes up. Like Google, you can't control how many page views you get. It's based upon, and if you guys just saw, Grayson put in that they're doing another update starting today. So
Oh, I didn't even notice.
welcome to update today. Welcome to update day. But this is what I want you guys to see. It's about where do I want to put my time? But where do you want to put your time? Maybe you don't love social media. I don't love Facebook. Like there's some of the rudest people out there. Like really truly. And if that's lower than Bing or it's lower than Pinterest, then I'm not, like looking at my traffic, I'm not going to give Facebook up because it's a significant source of traffic. But when I'm looking at RPMs, and you guys, I've looked at like 10, 12 of these, like every single time, Pinterest is number one. And then it goes, they're pretty close. Bing, email, YouTube, they're all newsletter, they're all really close, typically in those, 20s. Some, depending on your niche, like some of those RPMs can be way higher. I have a cross stitch site. The other day, the RPM was $55. Like I about cracked. So there's things that you can do in the middle of that to be like, okay, let's double this income. Like she literally, like switching this up. And here's the great thing: if you're not focused on Google and you're working on the other things, then you're not worried about. I mean, I saw people in a panic that they're doing another update, and I'm like, we have to stop living in this, oh my gosh, Google's doing an update. If your traffic, like if you look at my traffic, it is even, I mean, Google's at 567, y'all. Like that's not even like DuckDuckGo is just a few points behind it. Like
And
YouTube,
DuckDuckGo is always low. And so it's kind of like Google is not the end all be all.
yes.
And I don't want to interrupt you, but I do want to say that, in the last 2 years, I've lost half of my traffic. I was at easily 50,000 page views, and now I'm at like 25,000 page views. And I could be panicked, like, oh gosh, half my traffic's gone. But I can tell you that I have tripled
Yeah.
my income on half of my traffic because now I focus on, like you said, the RPMs. My RPMs are so much higher with Pinterest. So I don't need as much traffic when you think of just RPM to RPM, because for mine, my Pinterest RPMs are almost double what Google is. And one of my smaller sites that I haven't even touched in over a year, it gets 95% of its traffic from Pinterest, and I haven't even touched that account. So I'm not recommending that, but I'm just saying that that Pinterest traffic, once you get it, it just continues on. You don't have to like coddle it like you would other social media traffic. But the other difference here too is if you're on like Google AdSense doesn't seem to care where your traffic comes from. The RPMs and CPMs doesn't change that much. But once I moved it over to Journey, you can definitely tell where my RPM has just skyrocketed because since it's 95% interest traffic, they seem to love that a whole lot more as far as the payout.
Yeah. And I think it's just interesting to me. So, I mean, I think what I just wanted to share today was like take a look at your traffic. Teresa said like I'm Google organic and then unassigned. And so you can't focus on that, right? Um, have you connected Google Analytics to Journey? You have to connect Google Analytics to Journey for them to pay you. So, and it's not hard. It's literally just hit a couple of buttons and do a couple of things. They really are great. And if you're trying to figure
Well,
that
I think
out,
about the new thing on Journey where it's now you have the option to connect it because you have to connect Grow because that's how they were measuring before was with Grow. She's talking about where you connect it to VA4,
uh,
and that
yeah,
was like 2 clicks, super easy.
super
The
easy.
only thing I will say about Journey is they changed it to where now you can set like your time frames, and it drives me bonkers every morning when I check it because I have to go into custom and go into this month.
It
But
changes.
other than
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like, I don't love the new
I have
update.
to go for each account. Like it doesn't even stick. Like just make it at once and it sticks for all my sites.
Yeah, they have made some changes. I'm asking them if I keep asking, like, can we have a dashboard like Mediavine? Like, it wouldn't take nothing on their end to do that. Mediavine's doing a training on the 26th, and they were like, "Do you have any questions?" I'm like, "Yes." Can the Journey have the same dashboard that Mediavine does, please? Can we have some more data, please? Um, okay, so she's
I
got
think we're
Google,
getting there.
huh?
I think they're compiling all that data from all these sites, and they are actually because I'm noticing lots of little
Yeah,
tweaks and
little
changes.
clues that
I
are
think it's
coming.
coming.
I do too. I hope so. Okay, so Teresa said Google organic and then unassigned. So again, you can't control that. Pinterest, direct, Bing. So I mean, I would say the things to work on would be like really, Teresa, how many pins are you doing per day?
And then I have a question too, Teresa. Do you have like an email newsletter or something you're sending out? And have you set up a tag for your newsletter? Because I found out that before I set up my tag with ConvertKit, all that traffic was coming up as unassigned. And as soon as I got that tag, now it becomes its own line that says ConvertKit. So that right there, if you have a newsletter that's not tagged, that could help. And that may be why your unassigned is so high.
And they've got in the back of Journey, if you're on Journey, there is a links tab and you can put in that blog post. Um, And I have found that that helped the same way. Like they're tracking it because I use MailerLite. They're tracking it, and I think that's why it's showing more as my email newsletter versus like worldwide, direct, unassigned, whatever they're calling it at that moment. So those would be the two things, like setting up.
Mentioned she doesn't have a tag. So Teresa, whoever you have, so you have Mailer Lite, you can do there's tons of YouTube videos and stuff on how to set it up. So I would just search Mailer Lite. I think it's called a UTM tag, and it'll help you set it up.
But if you've got the journey, literally. you go into the links, and I can do that when we're not recording. I don't really want to show my journey. I don't mind showing y'all, but sorry for those who are catching the replay. I'm not going to open up my journey so everybody can see it, but I don't mind showing that in a second. So, okay, takeaways. What can y'all do that, like for the next quarter, what can you do that will help you increase that income?
I'm staying the course. I'm at a good spot right now. So I am
And
all
girlfriend,
my
that's the answer. I'm okay
yeah,
with that
well,
answer.
I'm perfecting my circle, my content circle, where not necessarily reposting from each platform, but posting for each platform, but it may be about the same topic. So I'm not reinventing each post, but I'm just making it specific. And that's really paying off in so many different ways. Like my subscribers are up, my engagements up, you know what I mean? So I'm just really doubling down on what's working right now.
Yeah. Focus on more frequent emails, get back to sharing on YouTube, continue to focus on Pinterest. Girl, 100%. I would say, depending on how many people you have on email, like I always say, at least 2 to 3 emails per week. On my crochet site and my cross stitch site, they get one per night. And people always say, that's too much, that's too much. My click through rate is 50%. My open rate is at 8%, which is unheard of industry wide. So you can't tell me they don't want it. It's how you set it up and how you position it that will make them want to open it. So I would say
It's the value that you're giving.
100%. Yeah, I'm not spamming them. It's something that they actually want. So, and when they want it, I mean, the funny thing is, I love the Google Analytics on the phone because it'll just kind of show you those like what's happening in that moment. The data on there is horrible, but that's what I use it for. I tell them, this is one of the things I say, that email is going to come out at 8 p.m. Eastern. And literally 8:01, I can see the spike in my traffic. And it's so stinking fun to watch, y'all. Like it's just like so much fun to be like, yep, they like that one. Or I can tell, like that one did not do well. That one fell flat. Okay. But it's building in like that strategy of how do I get them to open that up? Like it really, really is. And YouTube is so simple too. Like I think we complicate YouTube. Like if you've got a YouTube channel, it's looking at that data. We were just talking about that before you got on, Teresa. Like I did some things on YouTube. My YouTube finally got monetized, which woo! And that's a whole other story of how long it takes for those RPMs to go up. I don't know yet. I started at 6 cents an RPM, and now I'm at $1.10.
That's like a 2000% increase. So keep going.
Jen, I can actually buy a pizza now. I could buy one pizza. I don't know if I could feed my family, but I could buy one pizza and everybody could have one slice. So it's like climbing a mountain, no doubt. Um, but I always look at it and say, you know, what I'm doing now, like a year from now, it's going to pay dividends. So it's those little bitty pieces. And that's what I want you to look at. Like, what can you do now? It's like the media buying I showed you. Like, when we switched that and she really worked on her Pinterest, like she doubled her income. Like that's what I said, well, where's your traffic coming from now? Well, it's Pinterest. You know, she did the Bing stuff to be able to get more Bing traffic, you know, and I'm like, you go. Like, you know, it's not about having, and y'all, she's at 9,000 views. Like, what happens when you get more traffic from Pinterest and now all of a sudden you're at 40,000 views? Like, then you're at an income that you can survive on. You're not having to have a job or whatever if that's what you're after. But it takes those steps. And if you can't read your data, I have so many people that tell me, oh, I think it's coming from Google. I think it's coming from, you've got to know. Like, you have to know. Then you can make good, smart decisions. Like, it can't be, I don't know. I don't know. But I also don't want you riding the Google wave. I don't want you to be in these Facebook groups and you're like freaking out with everybody else today because Google's doing an update. I want you to be able to go in there like your data and say, Google's my least amount of traffic. Like if you take a little bit away, okay, I'll do more pins or I'll do another video. I can make that up. And I don't need it's like Jen was saying, I don't need very much more on Pinterest to make up for that Google income. Not at $10 more RPM. Like I don't need that. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was encouraging that really just go look at your data. Like have some fun, look at it. Like that's why I do strategy sessions. Like we literally map out where you need to be and like where to focus on. I see too many people they're chasing, you're chasing threads, you're chasing Instagram, you're chasing like what you're fixing ALT tags, or you're doing different categories, all this stuff. Because that's not gonna get you the income that you're wanting. It's not. Like, know what to focus on.
I see a lot of people chasing the quote unquote quick fixes that, oh, if I go in and I recategorize all of my blog posts, if I, change the navigation on my website homepage, those are things you would do for user experience. Those are not things that are going to just all of a sudden Google's going to go, oh, yep, we like you,
You
but
would
I
be
hear people say
better
that was
off
the quick fix.
if they're paying on page views. I mean, this is kind of an aha. If they're paying on page views, then where else can they go from that page? Like, that would be where I would focus. If I was going to clean up, one of the things I'm doing right now is as I put out some of my sewing stuff, they were not being looking like they need to be being fixed. So as I'm going in and they go on social media or they go on Pinterest, then I'm just taking a few minutes and just fixing the photos, doing the photo credits, doing all of the stuff that Bing is wanting. And I'm seeing you can see the traffic is coming up on Bing. Like it's I would rather you do that than be like, well, I'm gonna go in there and fix all this. Y'all, no, no.
Well, and another easy thing, if you're wanting to add more page views per session, make sure you have internal linking to, you know, things that are somewhat related or things that, oh, if they're interested in this, they may also be interested in this. And then, of course, just a simple recommended posts at the bottom. People always say, oh, those don't work, but I can tell you, you can dig in your analytics and you can see how many people are actually clicking on those recommended posts. So they do actually add page views.
And that's with the grow. Like that's a great thing with grow. And that's where you do have to kind of watch your categories. If you're putting everything under one category, well then it's confused. But like when I put quilt patterns, then under that recommended, if they're on a quilt pattern, it's going to take them to another quilt pattern. It may be something else that they're looking for. So, but I want you at the end of this quarter, like you've got 2 weeks, like take a look at it. Just take an afternoon, take a look at it, really kind of sit down and think, okay, what can I focus on for the second quarter? If you need the strategy, like I've got the two payment option now on there that you can do. If you've already done a session with me and you're just like, I just need an update, then that's a lot cheaper because I'm not having to like go through everything. We're just having a call. So, totally worth it. And you can see from the thing, like, what would that do to your income? Like, honestly, what would that do to your income? So, um, I hope this was helpful. I think next month we're going to talk a little bit about email because I think a lot of people are struggling with that. And honestly, it shouldn't be a struggle. So I think that's what we're going to talk about. We'll always talk about Pinterest. If you want pins reviewed, you can always ask to have that done. Like we're going to look at Teresa's Facebook, but we're going to do that off camera so that we'll talk about Facebook on a different day. Okay. So anyway, I hope this was helpful to you guys. And I hope you love if you weren't here, watch the replay.